Welcome to See You on the Internet, a podcast exploring life, love, and the pursuit of happiness in the age of the internet. We're your hosts.
I'm Kate.
And I'm Nicole.
Let's get into it.
All right, here we go. Another episode of See You on the Internet.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Kate.
How are you today?
Well, I miss you deeply considering I saw you this weekend, not on the internet, but IRL.
I know. We were seeing each other in real life, not just on the internet, which is very exciting. We love when that happens. Normally, our relationship is almost fully based on the internet, but this week, it wasn't.
We had such a good time this weekend.
We really did. We were goofing. It was so fun. We were laughing. We were giggling. We were just having the grandest of times. And nothing makes me happier than we get to do that.
I know, Kate, for everyone who's listening, it was my roommate's birthday this weekend. And so Kate and her husband, Nick, came to New York for the weekend. And it was really just so much fun. Anytime they come we just like have mess around days. And on Saturday was like a full packed scheduled mess around day. So it was kind of like not really a mess around day, but it was a pre-planned mess around day.
Yes.
We did have some opportunities for spontaneity, but we were on a little bit of a schedule. That included just like a food crawl of Chinatown. We got our auras read, which we'll get into a little bit later. We got tattoos. I got my other ear pierced. It was really just a phenomenal weekend. And then we tried a new wine bar on my corner. And because famously, if you had listened to the Two Girls, One Formula podcast before this, you might have heard me talk about how much I loved the wine bar that I went to that was in the bottom of my apartment. And we did have a little bit, not a falling out, but there was a lot of drama surrounding the wine bar.
There was a lot of drama.
So we kind of just stopped going there, and now we found a new place, and this new place is definitely the vibe. Women owned, right next door to an ice cream shop. They let us go get ice cream, bring it back.
Because they also own the ice cream shop. Like, it's not even just right next door to the ice cream shop. Like, one of the owners of the wine bar also owns the ice cream shop. Iconic.
Yeah.
What a dream.
Huge sleigh. We were there way past closing, just goofing with the owner, just gossiping, and I truly can't wait for that to become our new regular spot. They made Kate a special dish just for her because they overheard us talking about it. So
they actually made my food dreams legitimately. Like, I've dreamt about this meal. Like, they made my food dreams become a reality.
Yeah.
And it was so special to me. And that's how you get customers for life. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you do it. And we were just I don't even remember what we were talking about, but we started talking about like food experiences that we think about frequently. And about 7 years ago, Nicole and I and a group of people went to a restaurant in Boston called Bisque. I don't even know if they're still a thing. I hope they are because they were amazing. And we did this whole tasting menu. And we had a whipped ricotta toast that literally changed my life. It's the most simple dish, but it was so good. It's something that I clearly still talk about to this day, and like I think about it, I dream about it. If someone's like, what is the best meal you've ever had, I'm like, it's this ricotta toast. It was like a big slice of Texas toast with whipped ricotta and fresh like local honey on it with sea salt, and it literally like changed my life. And so we were talking about this at the wine bar, and they overheard. And they were like, well, we can do that. Like, let us know when you're back again. And like, we'll make that. And I was like, oh my God, I'll be back in March. And then not even 5 minutes later, they come back and go, we're making it for you right now. We had all the stuff and we're making it right now.
Because they had just the day before they had a special that was whipped goat cheese with Umbria truffle honey that they were
Yes.
like, our friend sent over from Italy. And they were like, we actually have some left over from the special. So we have the ricotta. We'll make it for you tonight. Ah,
It was so special.
talk about customer service.
I've never had a more special experience, I don't think, at a restaurant. Like, it was so good, and like it was just so fun. We had the best time, and that's kind of what's been up in our lives the past couple
we
days.
were hanging out, we were doing girly things and just having a good time. But I'm really happy to also be chatting with you on the internet again on our
It feels
podcast.
so right.
Kate, to kick things off this week, what is one thing that you saw on the internet that you would like to discuss?
One thing that I saw on the internet this week is our friends, the Astro Twins, astrologers to the stars, famously have done astrological readings for Beyonce. They work at Elle magazine. They are their in-house resident astrologers, and we love them. I'm obsessed with them. And they have been posting a lot lately about their every year they do a yearly horoscope guide book, and you can buy that, and they have their new one for 2025 out, obviously. And then they put out this weekend their February monthly horoscopes for every sign. So I was reading mine, of course, because it was there, and things are just looking really good for me. Not to brag, but my life is looking really good for the next little while.
Okay.
And it just really made me start thinking about my life and my goals and this podcast and the goals for this podcast and manifesting and setting intentions. And it feels like it would be a very fun thing for us to talk about today, because this is a new year for us. This is a new podcast for us, a new business venture. And it's something that we love to do on this podcast forever. Even back during the Two Girls and Formula days, we would finish out our podcast episodes with Manifest Minutes. So it's something that we're very passionate about on this podcast. And I thought it would be very fun for us to kind of talk about manifesting.
I love that.
Astrology
goal setting.
and goal setting.
Our hopes and dreams. Okay, well, did you read my horoscope?
No, I didn't. I was at work, so I
You're
didn't
a bad friend. I'm always looking at your horoscopes when I read.
Well, I did, but then I had to. Here's the thing: is they had slides, and yours was in the slide, so I read that, but Gemini wasn't in the slide, so I had to then go actually to the L.com website to read mine, and they were really long, and I was at work, so I was like.
And you know what? I always look at yours because you and I are tied together with a business. So if something good is happening to you, that means something good is happening to me. Okay?
Yes. And that's what I was going to tell you. I have some good things to report for this podcast.
Well, hopefully mine was good as well.
Well, I'll tell you right now.
You better. You better.
Capricorn.
Yep. Go ahead.
Here we go.
Thank you.
Tighten that belt, Capricorn. The Aquarius sun activates your second house of money and values until February 18th, making you ready to manage resources more wisely and collaboratively. Then, with Venus settling into Aries on February 4th, which, as of the time of recording, is today, you'll inspire those around you to create a more secure life. This Venus cycle also fuels your desire to beautify your space and, if needed, bring it up to Capricorn code. So all of this actually doesn't matter by the time this episode comes out.
By the time this episode airs, no one will care about this horoscope anymore.
Yeah, but I just want you to know that's what it's looking like for you. But
good to know.
Outside of just our February horoscopes, tell me your thought process when it comes to setting goals and intentions. I know obviously this is the beginning of a new year. So I know we've done vision boards before. How do you usually think of a new year or a new start to something?
Great question. Oh my goodness, I love this question. Famously, I am really bad at goal setting. I have ADHD, so goals for me are just suggestions of things that I could be doing.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting because I consider myself a pretty successful human being. Like I
Love that.
if I see something and like I want something, I'm gonna get it. But it's not because I'm like thinking about it in the terms of like setting goals. And I think we talked about this in the last episode around like kind of our reading goals. Whereas like I don't know if I necessarily like set really firm hard deadlines or goals around things that I want. I generally just kind of do it around like how I want to feel. And this has become something that I think I've grown into every year. Like I think as, you know, in our early 20s, we're like, okay, we're going to set New Year's resolutions and like, I'm going to lose 20 pounds and I'm going to be better at the gym and like,
Yeah.
I'm going to drink more green juice. And like, it's kind of all of these like really hard set goals. And like, actually, psychologically, turns out a lot of people fail at that. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
fail at setting these kind of ambitious goals. And so for me, I've kind of turned to kind of how I want to feel at the end of the year. Like, what am I hoping to accomplish in the sense of like, okay, last year like was really tough for me emotionally and like mentally. And so like coming into this new year, like I want to be more present with my feelings and like know that hard times will pass and like I'll be able to get through it and spend time with the people that I love. And out of all of those things, more things that I want to achieve will come out of that. So like also my one hard goal that I want to achieve at the end of this year is being able to do the splits. I want to be able to do the splits.
No way.
Yeah. And I
Where did this come from?
I don't know.
What prompted this?
I just think that it would be like a really fun party trick to pull out and just be like, I can do the splits. We're in our 30s now, and obviously when you get older, you're like your flexibility goes downhill. And like obviously we're not like super old, but it's really important to stretch and stay limber.
This is
And
incredible.
and so as part of that, like this hard goal that I want to reach is kind of like by being able to do the splits at the end of the year, I will have had to work pretty hard at like going to yoga and stretching every day and you know doing certain exercises to like become more limber and just generally taking better care of my being.
Yeah.
And so like because of that, I'm hopeful that a lot of other things that I'm hoping to get out of life come through this one kind of like random ass goal that I have. And so it's very much just kind of like it's really hard because we do vision boards, but my goal setting is really kind of chaotic.
I'm obsessed with this split goal. I think that's
It is
so
it's
fun.
so silly and like
It's very silly. That is for sure.
I have a friend who teaches yoga, and so I went to one of her yoga classes and I was like, Maddie, I really want to be able to do the splits at the end of next year. And she's like, okay, I'll create programming so that when you come, like we'll work on your hip flexors and like really be able to open those up. So it's like it's kind of nice to just be
Yeah.
able to have like this kind of obscure thing I'm working towards where I know a lot of other beneficial things will come out of it. And
Totally.
you are much more type A than me. So I feel like I know you have your journal, you have like you're so much more kind of precise when it comes to goal setting, I feel like. And that's why we work well together because I'm a doer and you're like a planner.
Yeah. I definitely try to be I mean I'm similar in that I don't love to set like rigid goals because I'm really good about like doing things for a little bit, but I'm I like to see quick results. If I'm setting this goal that's not very like and I'm working really hard at it for a couple months, but it doesn't like I'm not like achieving it yet, then I fizzle out. Like
I'm quitting.
so I
So
need
maybe
to
that's one goal we should have both for the new year is
just
that
don't
we're a little
quit.
bit more patient.
So I think the way that I look at goals is more like here are some habits I want to form, and here are like some things that I want to be more like intentional about, and like kind of similar to how yours is like how you want to feel. Mine is just very much more like here's intentions. I want to
Mhm.
be like doing these little things that I think are going to benefit me without being like this huge like I have to go to the gym 500 times this year, or like
Yeah, because
whatever
it's
it
like
is. Like,
it's just like such a scary goal, because then if you fall off, then you're like,
yes,
well, it's over, right? Like, well,
it's
I've missed
more
the mark
like
already.
less quantifiable goals and more like qualitative
Yeah.
goals. You know what I mean? Bringing it right on back to science in high school. Like, we're going for quality over quantity. I don't
Mhm.
really want quantitative measurements. Like, I want to say like, okay, if I don't go to the gym, 12 times this month, then I'll have failed. But it's
Mhm.
more like I want to be more active. And so maybe that's like, I want to try out a couple new classes, or I want to, I think, like I do have this new journal. And
Is it working out for you?
so far, yeah, I'm really
Okay,
liking
good.
it. Like, it's really fun. I got this journal, and I've never been a journaler. I've tried so hard to have journals in my life. I want to be a journal girl. That's like, before I go to bed, I write my journal. But they're really daunting to me because I get blinking cursor syndrome a lot.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? To make an offline thing very online. But I don't like having a full page where I like feel like I have to like fill it. And
Right.
I'm like, what do I say? And I get very tactical. Like, I'm like, first I woke up and then I did this. Like, I'm like, I need to get out of like that. So I got actually a planner, and I'm using it as a journal. So then it's like, where you usually put like what you have to do that day. That's what at night I've been writing down either something I did or some thoughts that I'm having, more just kind of like, what was today kind of about for me. And it can be something very simple, like, it was a long day and I went to work and we watched TV, and that was kind of all I had energy for today. Or, yesterday I wrote that I had like my best tread block at
Mhm.
Orange Theory, and like I was really proud of myself. And so like I wrote that down and was like, I did, XYZ, and I felt really good. But also I've been tracking habits. It has a habit tracker for every week. And so I've been setting like habits that I really want to get into. So I want to be going. So I'm tracking how many days a week I go exercise. I'm tracking how many days a week I hit my goal of drinking 2 of my Stanleys.
Mhm.
I'm tracking how many days I read for 30 minutes, because I'm really trying to do that before bed. And then like my bed, my sleep cycle, which is like
Yep.
going to bed at 10 and waking up at 7.
Oh, it's
So
10 o'clock now? I know you were 9:30 for a
it was a
while too.
9 it was a 9 to 6 schedule before, but I wasn't able to really get to bed by 9.
Yeah.
And 6 was feeling a little early. So
Okay.
I pushed it 10 to 7, and
And you
it's
know
been,
what though? That's good, right? Like,
yes,
it's like you couldn't stick to that goal that was ultimately not working for you. You needed to
I
pivot
needed to pivot.
in order to be
And
successful.
exactly. So it's been really nice to track that. But yeah, it's nice because I'm like setting more like intentions, and every month I get to set like 3 goals for the month. But in terms of things, I've been trying to be like, my big goal this year is consistency. I want to like
Mhm.
go to the gym consistently. So not go to the gym X number of days a week, but I want to be consistent with going to the gym, knowing that I have to give myself grace. And some weeks I'm not going to be able to go. But that doesn't mean that like I
You're a
have
failure.
failed my goal, because I mean, before, if it was 12 times a month, that's like technically 3 times a
A
week,
week, yeah.
which I've been trying to do 4 times a week, but we'll see. But again, I'm not holding myself to that number because I know myself. And before, if I got sick, like I did a couple weeks ago, and I couldn't go to the gym that week, I'd be like, oh my gosh, now I have to go to the gym like 6 times for the next
Mhm.
2 weeks to be able to like get to, or like whatever that is. And it would like throw me off, where I was like, well, I didn't go 4 times this week, so I already failed my goal.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's just about being consistent, then it's like, okay, I can give myself grace this week. I couldn't go, but next week I can get right back to it and
Right.
not like harbor this like guilt about not going. So that's kind of the goal for this year, is wellness, in the fact that I feel like the past few years have been really being set up. Like, I've had a lot
Mhm.
going on. I had
Mhm.
a wedding to plan. I was buying a house. I was moving. I was getting laid off, starting a new job. And this
Yeah.
year I feel like things are like
Finally
knock on
settled
wood,
enough. Yeah.
settled. So now that I have like that whole foundation, I just really want to be like, okay, I was setting myself up for success the past few years, and now it's time to enjoy that. And what can I do to like maintain a like healthy state?
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I think for me too, it's really hard because obviously we celebrate the new year in January,
Right.
right? As a girly with seasonal depression, the winter is really fucking hard for
Yeah.
me to like be optimistic about goals that I want to achieve. The goals I want to achieve right now are lying down. I want to lie down. I want to take a nap. I don't want to
Yep.
think about anything.
Yep.
And historically, prior to, Western civilization and the Roman calendar, the new year was really celebrated on the spring equinox because why wouldn't you want to celebrate the new year with rebirth and new growth and
Yep.
coming out of hibernation, right? Like to
Super
me,
Persephone core of you.
exactly. Like to me that makes sense. Like yes, I the winter is for resting. It's for thinking about the previous year. It's about kind of setting intentions and like how things have been, but like for me, I don't really consider the winter to be a part where like I'm actually achieving a lot of my goals.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a quote once like I am on Prozac. I need my little antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, and it took me a long time to get to a place where like I could accept that I like needed help. And I saw a quote once that was like, you know, plants and animals go to sleep in the winter. You should not expect yourself to be in full bloom year round. And I really took that to heart where I was like, you know what? Actually, I
Mm-hmm.
am going to be kinder to myself in the winter months. Like,
Yeah.
I do not succeed. Like, this is not when I'm at my best, my most creative, like my strongest. Like, I just need to rest.
Yes.
And then when March, April rolls around, like we'll get down to business. So we can revisit some of my goals maybe in the springtime and
Yeah.
see if they have changed because I'll be more optimistic about what I can achieve over the next 8 to 12 months.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's really fair. There's this whole trend going around that I've seen of people celebrating, like doing more of their like New Year's resolutions and goal setting February 1st instead of January 1st, and just being like, we just ended the year. You end on a bang with like holiday, 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 overconsumption, like
Mhm.
capitalist mindset all over the place in this time of like joy and giving, but also like very much receiving and like very materialistic and
Mhm.
indulging. There's a huge emphasis on food and drinking and going out and just like consumption in all of its forms. And so a lot of people are like, it's so unrealistic to like have January 1st roll around and just be like, okay,
New
I'm new.
person.
It's a new me. I'm reborn. It's a new year. I'm going to be so good right now. I'm going to not drink for a month. I'm going to, go to the gym like it's just like this polar opposites where it can feel really jarring. And I think that's why a lot of people don't find success in sticking to New Year's resolutions, because it's just almost like cold turkey what
Yeah.
you're doing and what culturally people are doing, what society's doing, which is fine. And it's nothing to like, I hate the concept of like, okay, I have to like, change these things in January because I was so bad in December. Like, you weren't bad.
Mhm.
You were living and you were, participating in this thing that tends to bring most people joy.
Mhm.
Maybe not most people, but a lot of people joy. And you can't, blame yourself for that and like act like it was a bad thing that needs to be like corrected.
Yeah.
And so I've seen this trend of people saying January is like for decompression. Like we are
Mhm.
just being okay with ourselves and accepting, what our life was in November, December, the holiday season, and taking time to rest and recover and do whatever you need to do. A lot of people are like, yeah, I need a glass of wine after work in January because holy shit,
Well, especially the January
everyone's
that we've been
circling back
having.
around. Everyone is circling back around after the holidays. And guess what? I'm really fucking busy. So maybe I do need a glass of wine. And maybe I'm not going to do dry January. But like now there's this whole trend of people saying, okay, well, maybe I'm going to do dry February because I've taken the time. I'm adjusting to this new like year that we're in. And now starting in February is when I feel mentally reset enough to set goals and to like do these things
Yeah.
that I want to do. And I very much subscribe to this concept of taking January to recover and then slowly getting into the year.
I mean, here's the thing too. You can start your year over whenever the hell you want.
Amen.
Rules are arbitrary. Do whatever you want. Start over any day of the week, any day of the year. You can be a new person tomorrow if you want to be, unless you're kind of like being manic depressive. Maybe don't do it that way. But like, like I think there's so much pressure around like new year, new you. And it's just like, give me a break. And so I think what's more important to me is around the concept of like manifesting this future that you want for yourself. And like Kate said, like we used to put out requests for manifest minutes for the Two Girls One Formula podcast, and Kate and I would really take some time to put out into the universe what other people wanted to achieve. And so this kind of came about because one year, many moons ago, when I was unemployed, I was on TikTok and I was going down this rabbit hole of this woman who was talking about the Antichrist. Okay. And I was like, I'm intrigued. It was crazy. And she had me hooked. So I did this whole presentation on this, but a part of that was around like manifestation and like the vibrational frequencies of the universe. Don't ask me how we get there though. And
I'm thinking that that's going to be a really good podcast episode for us one day. Is I want you to dilute this like 400 slide PowerPoint presentation that you gave to all of us, and I want you to do it on this podcast because it is so fascinating to put yourself into your brain.
It's for entertainment purposes only. But as part of one of the things that we did, crowd participation, was we did a manifest minute, and I had everyone go through, because there's peer review studies around transcendental meditation and manifestation and kind of just like thinking about things and the nature of your reality. Okay. And so we did this process, and it kind of started as a bit where we were like manifesting things. And then one time Kate and I manifested during an F1 race that Max was going to crash and Carlos was going to win. And then it happened, and we were like, we are witches. We are witches, and we firmly believe in the power of manifestation. So it kind of became a bit at that point, and we would start like manifesting things. But it turns out
it kept coming true.
Things kept coming true. And so we were kind of sold on the idea of thinking about a future in which you wanted to live in and the things that you wanted to happen, and then being able to put that into practice. And so, we always say that with manifestation, like you definitely have to envision the thing that you want, but you also have to then go ahead and follow it up with actions that are going to help you get to that future that you want. So you can't always just like think about things and be like, well, I thought about it, so now it exists. I mean, like, yeah, sure, that's kind of part of it. But like, how are you going to change your behavior in order to put yourself on a path that's going to allow for these situations to happen?
Right.
And I think that's kind of where I do my best goal setting, where it's like, okay, like I am manifesting a future in which I
can do
am
the splits.
What? And doing the splits, right? But like I can't just envision a future where I'm doing the splits and then not do any of the work that's going to get me there.
Right.
Like I have to be like, okay, I have friends who are yoga teachers. Like I'm going to ask them for advice on how I can start to learn how to do
I'm
this.
going to start going to yoga classes. I'm
Yes.
going to be starting to stretch daily and like putting actions in place to help you achieve the end goal.
Yes. And so also it's like, okay, like I'm manifesting a future in which we're going to get Daniel Ricciardo on the podcast. Okay, fantastic. We've said it out loud. We've manifested a future. Now we have to keep talking about it, right? So we're asking, hey, anyone listening to this podcast know Daniel Ricciardo and want to get us in touch with him? Also, we can send him an email. We can send him a Twitter or an Instagram DM, but like we have to do some of the work to get us there. But ultimately, I think my biggest advice for manifesting is around committing to the bid.
Yeah.
And I think that will get you a really long ways in life, is if you just view kind of manifestation and what you want to accomplish as a bit that you need
a
to
really long bit, because
to.
then you don't take it so seriously. You take the pressure off of it. Think of everything kind of as a joke, a little bit as a bit, and commit to it and see where you end up.
You never know.
You never know. And I think, you know, how he ended that, what you just said, leads us really well into our segments. So I think it's time. Let's get into some segments.
Let's get into it. Sports girls.
Sports girls. There's a lot of sports happening right now, but
I've been dying to talk about this one.
But we got to talk about, we got to get into the F1 news.
F1 news of the week.
And,
well, by the time you listen to this, it will not be of the week, but
it'll be but it is still relevant in terms of it's unfortunately something that we are foreseeing, and we are manifesting against this. We are manifesting against it.
And we have been manifesting against this for a long time. And we've been saying, and what we're talking about here today, ladies and gentlemen, girls, gays, and theys, is that Valtteri Bottas is Mercedes reserve driver this year. Okay. And what have we been saying for so long? Bottas should not go back to Mercedes. He should not go back to his toxic ex. His mental health at Mercedes was god awful.
Horrible.
They treated him like shit. Mm-hmm. And he basically went bald because he was losing all of his hair.
He had actual self-harm thoughts.
Yeah. Like actual scary business. And divorced his wife because he was so unhappy. And then he went to Sauber, Alfa Romeo, Stake, whatever we want to call them. Personality immediately back. Immediately has a personality. Unlocked. Fantastic. Now he's back at Mercedes. And what is Toto out here saying? He is saying that Bottas is no longer able to do his nude calendar because they're quote unquote Mercedes and they don't do stuff like that. Keep in mind, this calendar was all of the proceeds going to charity. Okay, Toto, just say that you're against philanthropy then. But he says, but he can keep that ugly mullet if he wants to. You're joking.
And it's just kind of like,
Toto, bottom of the pyramid.
Toto, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And guess what? New villain alert. It's Toto. He's always been a favorite. He's always been top of the pyramid for us because we thought he brought a lot of fun. He brought a lot of good looks to the sport, and we thought he was funny, and he was supportive of his drivers, and we liked that about him. However, Toto,
you're on watch.
Because this is not cool, and you are at the bottom of the pyramid, and you are seeing yourself become the villain.
Because not only that is that for the reason why he's on the bottom of the pyramid, but because he's supporting MBS with these new FIA rules and regulations around causing moral injury to the FIA if the F1 drivers swear too much. Thin ice.
He has a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Never in my life have I yelled at a girl like this before. Bottas is sparkle, and
in a way that I actually kind of don't think I can forgive.
No, like we're riding at dawn.
I'm pissed off, and they'll be hearing from me about this.
They'll be hearing from my lawyers. Cease and desist. Toto, cease and desist talking about my man like that, okay?
It's just, Like, for what? Like, what is the gain? Because Botas has become so popular, like, in the sport, and people love him, and he's just, like, really living his freest life. And what is the point of telling him that he can't be doing these things anymore? Like, it's kind of like calling back to when Drive to Survive first came out and Mercedes didn't want to be a part of it because they're like, we're too good for this. And like, guess what? Then look,
On it.
you jumped on the bandwagon.
Speak on it.
And you weren't fun that first year. They're just constantly like the Debbie Downer. Like, they're the people that take themselves too seriously and are like not that fun. And it's like, what if you just had fun? Like, what if you just like enjoyed your life? What if you just had a little bit of a giggle every once in a while? Like, your life would be so much better. It's not that serious. Go text me.
Consider this. Settle down. Consider this. It's not that deep.
Consider this. Why dull Botas sparkle when you could just have fun?
Exactly. Toto, get that tattooed on you, okay? Don't you forget it.
Just have fun.
Botas.
Sorry, that really looked like I was about to show you my dark mark from Harry Potter. I'm just showing my just have fun tattoo in Nicole's handwriting.
Exactly. Here's what I'll say. You know who is having a lot of fun, though?
Who?
You know who's having a lot of fun? Esteban Ocon.
Our movie star.
He is a legitimate movie star. Now, once again, par for the course. Didn't do any further research than what I posted on the story. Just that clip of Esteban Ocon in some sort of French Netflix movie. Let's take 30 seconds. I'm going to Google it. Okay, here's the premise of the movie. This is why it's called Honeymoon with my mother. Okay. So basically, Esteban Ocon, I think, has a small role in that the bride runs away with him. That's all.
I gathered
that's
that
all we
from
get.
The trailer.
Okay, and Thomas, who's the movie's protagonist, is going on his already paid for honeymoon with his mother. So I think
that's actually a very funny concept. So I'm in. I will be buying a ticket.
Well, you don't need to buy a ticket. It's on Netflix.
You're right. I will be purchasing.
But
I will be watching.
I'm obsessed with the fact. I'm kind of obsessed with the fact that like Esteban Ocon is the first of this generation of drivers to like be in a movie like this. Like, obviously Charles and Carlos were the voices of those Buzz Lightyear characters in Italian and Spanish. And then we had Lewis and Seb in the Cars movies. But no one has really done like acting. Well, you know what? Actually, now that I'm saying this makes sense that Esteban is the one in this role because he's Toto is his manager, and also he went to Toto's thespian camp, of course. So this makes sense. It's all coming together now. This makes sense. But it is kind of crazy that he is the first one to like have a role like this. I really thought it was going to be Lando.
Yeah, I'm Googling if any F1 drivers have been in movies before, but it's looking like no. So I think I wanted to make sure that we weren't like missing something, you know?
Esteban Ocon,
movie star.
SGA, Screen Guild actor. Give him he's a card carrying member.
It's SAG.
Oh, you're right.
SGA. Screen Guild actor. She says with so much I was like, what is she saying? SGA? And then you started saying it, and I was like, she's talking about the SAG Awards?
I'm screaming. This is like the other day. I was with my friend Greer, and we started walking down the street to go somewhere, and we walked about 3 blocks, and I was like, fuck, we're going the wrong way. And she's like, I thought we were going the wrong way, but I didn't want to say anything because you were so confident. And I was like, everyone always says that they never want to question me because I just say things so confidently, but I need someone to check me every now and again.
I try to check you sometimes, and you double down. You are the queen of doubling down.
I don't think that's true. I think that you're just not confident in your ability to
How
check
many
me.
times on this podcast or our last podcast, Nicole, have you said something and I say, Nicole, I don't think that's right, and you say, I didn't say that. Roll the tapes. And guess what? We roll the tapes, and every single time I'm correct.
Every single time is
Yes.
generous.
No, I'm always right.
Generous.
Anyways, it's the SAG.
Okay.
He is a card-carrying SAG member, Screen Actors Guild.
Okay. SGA, Screen Guild Actors, whatever. You know how it goes. Okay,
It's a new club. This is a brand new segment that we are introducing right now called Yappy Hour. So welcome to Yappy Hour. This is a segment that we're going to do interspersed. It's just going to be a sprinkle here and there if there's something that happened that you need to know about. And this is what, if you go to happy hour with your friends, this is what people are going to be talking about. We want you to be prepared to discuss with them. And it's just things that we want to talk about. So this week, this
won't be relevant by the time.
This won't be relevant. However, another one won't have happened. So it still actually is the most recent awards show of music.
I guess, technically, yes.
So we're going to be talking about the Grammys that happened right before we recorded this episode. Obviously, it's 2.5 weeks later that you're listening to this. So it may not be the most relevant, but I think we can still make it relevant.
Okay.
And I really want to say that, surprisingly, I really enjoyed the Grammys this year.
Me too. I saw a tweet that was like, the Grammys, a little too good. A little pup cup before they put us down. And I was like, that's accurate. It was too good because I watched the MTV Music Video Awards and I didn't know 95% of the people performing at the MTV Music Awards. And for the Grammys, I ate up every single one of those performances.
It was so good and like so entertaining. And let's be real. I love Trevor Noah.
Yes.
I love him.
He should host everything.
He's a gem. And so I really enjoyed him. And I felt like all the performances are great. The ladies really ate up the stage. Like every woman that performed was incredible. And I also felt like the awards, there was nothing that I was like upset about.
No.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like sometimes it's like, okay, well this one was like kind of rigged or like this person got snubbed, they should have won. But I really felt like everything was pretty fair.
Finally. And you know what? I'll say it. I'm glad Taylor didn't win Album of the Year because I don't even like Tortured Poets Department that much. That's a hot take. People are probably gonna be mad at me for that.
I didn't like it either, but I don't think that I'm the audience that people will be mad at because I'm not a diehard. But
I do think that Cowboy Carter deserved Album of the Year. 100%.
Yes. Here's the thing, and I've seen a lot of people talking about this, is that it's Album of the Year. It's like supposed to be a complete work together.
Yes.
And it's not, what album was the most popular or what album, sold the most copies or what album, played on the radio the most. It's what album was the most overall, like
the best piece of art.
And I think that Beyonce absolutely deserved that. I think other albums that were in the category were great albums. Like I enjoyed them, but like, I mean, you know it. You know this. Like I loved Short and Sweet.
Yes.
I loved it. I thought it was incredibly entertaining. I thought it was so fun. It was catchy. I love Sabrina Carpenter. Her performance at the Grammys was iconic. I loved it, every piece of it. But I don't think that it necessarily was like a piece of timeless, iconic art. When you look at something like Beyonce, and I feel like, people were like, yeah, she's finally won the award that she has been nominated for so many times. She is kind of constantly putting out these albums that maybe aren't like the most popular, but they are art and they have a story to tell, and she's doing things that's really innovative, and it's not just trendy. It's like culturally relevant in a way that I think really deserved that title this year.
Preaching to the choir, babes.
Yeah.
Preaching to The choir.
Yeah.
I think people were okay, speaking of Taylor Swift, let's talk about the T. Let's talk about the T chain on her thigh.
Oh, they meant like spill the tea. No.
No,
The actual T. T as in Troy? No. T as in Taylor Swift
Taylor Swift.
not winning a single VMA.
Yeah. People are like, "Oh, do you think the T's for Travis?" Yeah, bitch, I do think it's for
But
Travis.
also the T could also be for Taylor. Like people, I feel like people forget that her name is also Taylor starting with a T. Like, yes, she can be wearing a T necklace or a T something for Travis, but also like you wear an N necklace because your name is Nicole. She could
True.
also be like, my name's Taylor, so I'm gonna wear a
Yeah, but she does have a line on Tortured Poets that's right, mine on my upper thigh or whatever the heck the quote is. So
True.
just like people are like probably alluding, and also it's a Super Bowl. Whenever this episode airs, the Super Bowl is coming up, and she is rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs. Apparently,
Yeah, so she was wearing red for that.
Wearing Chiefs red. But I don't know. I was really impressed with the Grammys. I think the production level of all of the performances was so good. I think did you know there was like 92 awards given out and only 9 that were broadcast? I was like, that's crazy.
Insane.
I was like, I really thought there would be more than 9 awards given out during the show, but apparently they said too many artists to perform.
Yeah. I think Sabrina's performance was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
She's a star. She's so good at being famous.
Yes, she
gets it. Like she has like found her niche, like her brand, and she is so good at it.
Yes.
My one qualm with her, and I'm sure that this, will come with time as she like continues what I'm assuming is going to be a continued rise of stardom. I wish she would have her own fashion sense. And I think it's very fun and cheeky and cute that she does all of these kind of like iconic throwbacks and like she's like replicating different looks, but I just really want to see like her do that in like her own version. She's just kind of all like there's a whole thing now. She's wearing like all of the costumes from The Nanny. Which is like I love it. But I want to see her take like inspiration, but also do it in her own way, because I think that she does have like such a great brand that she's created for herself. But I think that she needs to take that to another level too.
Yeah, there was a whole article around how now red carpets are like cosplaying.
Yes.
And not so much like their own kind of form.
No one's going to be able to cosplay as the people nowadays.
I know,
because no one's doing anything original anymore.
Yeah, so it was really interesting, and I was like, Sabrina's a really good example. Kylie Jenner recently has been a good example. I think a lot of these like Gen Z girlies are kind of trying to replicate these old it girls, and I think the thing was around like there are no more it girls anymore because everyone is just cosplaying one another.
Yeah.
So I really hope that Sabrina comes into her own it girl status, because
Absolutely.
I think she's capable of doing that.
2 people that are very capable of doing that, Chapel and Charlie. Chapel and Charlie said, we are our own people. And first of all, I'm so happy for Charlie.
Yeah.
For 3 Grammys. Like, so deserved, so fun. Her performance was... Here's the thing, and I said this in our group chat.
Her performance fresh off of her wedding in Slovakia.
Nicole, I said something this weekend about how I really want to see photos from Charlie XCX's wedding to 1975 drummer George. And Nicole said, because there's no photos out yet. And I was like, I just want to see it. It's reported that they did do it like over the holidays. And Nicole said, oh, I saw a photo. She looked great. She like, it was like so unexpected. She looked super normal, didn't really have any makeup on. I almost didn't recognize her. And I said, you did not see a photo. Like, how have I not seen this? So Nicole says, yeah, let me go find it. She gets it and she goes, yeah, here. And she turns her phone and I look at it and I say, Nicole, that is AI. That is an AI generated image of Charlie XCX in like it was so funny. So anyways,
I'm a boomer and I got bested by an AI image. And I said, in my defense, I was scrolling pretty quickly. And you know what the tell The biggest tell of this photo, I'm so stupid, is that she was holding a bouquet of cigarettes. But you know what? I literally was like, that seems like something Charlie would do.
Of course, 100%. It's what Lord brought to her at her birthday party. But
So
anyway,
it's fine. That's neither
Charlie,
here nor there.
we don't have photos yet as of recording on Tuesday, February 4th. But I said this in our group chat during the Grammys. Charlie Brat Summer is what Miley wanted Bangers era to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Miley did her whole Grammys performance, or was it VMA performance with like the foam finger and everything?
VMAs, yeah.
That's what she wanted out of that, was what Charlie did with her performance.
She was just a little too ahead of the curve, you know, as you and I know.
We get that.
Ahead
but
of the curve.
Charlie is really kind of doing what I think that Miley wanted to do. But I think that the way Charlie's doing it feels more like authentic. And I'm like, yeah, this is just kind of who Charlie is. So she was great. Loved her performance. Chapels is going to go down in Grammy history, I think. Like, it was so good. She just like, I think my favorite thing about Chapel is she gets the celebrities to sing back to her.
Everyone in that audience was singing Pink Pony Club.
Like,
everyone.
Every single person.
Everyone and it was singing Pink Pony Club, and everyone was singing Kendrick Lamar's A minor. Yeah, you could hear that resonating off the walls in that place.
My jaw dropped when he was going up to accept his award, and they literally were playing the clip, certified lover boy, certified pedophile. I was like, they just play, like, there's so many other snippets of that song. It was crazy. Someone was like, Drake's suing the Grammys.
Also the fact that he wore a Canadian tuxedo. A Canadian tuxedo. He said, Drake, count your motherfucking days. And also everyone was like, not to bring up the Super Bowl again, touchy subject on this podcast, but they're like, wow, it's not even the worst day of Drake's life yet. Like, we still have the Super Bowl.
Like, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Doechii.
Yes. She is a star. She is a performer.
That performance, similarly to Chapel, will go down in Grammys history. Yes. That was one of the best award show performances I think that I've ever seen.
I also was obsessed with the fact that a lot of these women, like Sabrina, Chapel, Doechii, like these women who are seemingly overnight successes, have been working their asses off for years, which is why I was like, you know, Sabrina and Chapel were both nominated for Best New Artist, which is kind of crazy because they're not really new artists. Like, they've been in the game for years. Yeah. Like, most of like 10 or so years they've been grinding in this industry to like get an ounce of movement. And so I think that's just like a really good testament to be like, you have to work really hard for your dreams. And like, some, you know, harkening back to what we talked about at the beginning, like if you're not seeing the success right away, like you can't give up. You have to keep pushing.
You have to keep going to yoga class, or you're not going to be able to get the splits.
Exactly. You're not going to get the Grammy. You're not going to get the splits. Like, you have to keep going. And so I think it was just like a really special moment for a lot of these women to receive their flowers. And so I loved that.
And I think they all did a great job. Like, the speeches were great, I felt like, and they were all really took this chance. And I feel like people are doing, like, have always done this at award shows, but like this year especially, like, I just feel like everyone had like a really good message. And like, this is what people talk about, like artists using their platform and like celebrities using their platform. And I think at an award show where so many people are watching, to like have a message to say was really cool and inspiring. Alicia Keys' speech was amazing. I love Alicia Keys. Like, it was just a really great show, and I think they did a really nice job with it. So I'm pleased.
Me too.
All right, Nicole, it's your week.
Okay,
OMGMeToo.
OMGMeToo. I need to know if anyone else does this, because everyone in my life makes me feel bad for doing this. And as I've already stated earlier in the episode, I do have ADHD. When I'm on an airplane, I don't like to watch a movie. I don't want to put my headphones in. I want to listen to my music.
Mm-hmm.
However, I want something to be playing on the screen. So oftentimes I will put on a movie that I've already seen and watch the movie without sound, but while also listening to music at the same time. I do this very regularly. I almost never watch a movie with sound on an airplane, and everyone gets mad at me for this. They're like, that's actually psychotic behavior. What are you doing? I'm like, well, I've already watched this movie so many times. Like, I can hear it in my head. Like, I don't need to be listening to it because I know exactly. I was watching Monsters Inc. recently. I know exactly how Mike Wazowski sounds when he's saying those lines. I don't need to hear it. No one else in my life seemingly thinks that this is an okay thing for me to do. But again, as someone with ADHD, I need to be stimulated. I'm usually how this is going. Movies on my screen, I'm looking up every now and again. I'm playing my Nintendo Switch and I'm listening to music. Okay. I need to be stimulated at all times.
She needs so many things happening around her to keep her feeling sane. I can't say OMG Me Too to that. However, I will say that I also don't love to watch movies on airplanes. Like, I find myself, I typically like to read or listen to music, and sometimes I will watch a TV show. If they have it, but I don't necessarily always watch. I don't really watch movies on.
I'm just so restless on the airplane that I'm like, I need a lot of things happening so that I can be distracted from the fact that I have to sit in this spot for so long and I can't really do anything.
I'm a big flight tracker, like my flight tracker, book, music. Maybe now.
This is why I take the early flights so that I can sleep on the plane. Like I can sleep on an airplane, and that's what I actually prefer because otherwise I'm so bored. I try to read, I get distracted. I'm like blah 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 blah. So many things are going on. There's too many people around me. I'm overstimulated, and so that's why I need a lot of things happening.
She's so overstimulated that she needs more stimulation.
I do. No, like dead ass.
Yeah,
you guys, you just don't get it. You're not inside my brain.
I'm sorry. I don't think it's crazy of you though. I don't think that that's like super uncommon. But I can't say OMG.
Well, I'll be asking in the comments, guys. Please tell me if you do this or not, because a lot of people in my life have been like, actually, that's if you were sitting next to me on an airplane and you were just watching the movie with no sound, I would ask to move seats. So
that's dramatic.
All right.
Hotline
time to wrap it up with a little hotline bling. I want to bring it back to Drake.
Hi, Kate and Nicole. This is Daniela, longtime friend and longtime listener. I was calling because I have a birthday coming up next month, and I was wondering if you think that I should invite the last guy I dated. As we all know, he was a guy that I had a gym crush on, and then we dated for a couple months, and it ended fairly amicably, and I still see him at the gym, and I'm inviting all of my other gym pals. So do you think he should be included in that invite? Thanks. Love you guys. Bye.
Great question, Daniela.
Great scenario. Personally, I would say send the invite. I think if you ended amicably and everyone else that like is in the same kind of like group of people is going to be invited, I think it's fair. I think it's always fair to send the invite, and like if he doesn't want to accept, that's fine. But I feel like it could, if you truly did end amicably and things are like okay, it could open the door to make it weirder if you didn't invite him, and like it could make him be like, oh, does she actually not like me? And then it could like invite problems. I'm always trying to keep the peace, and so
you are
people.
I think truly it depends though too. Like, when was the last time you talked to him? Like,
do you talk? She still sees him around at the gym.
Yeah, but do you like talk to him at the gym? Like, do you say hi to him? Do you like ask him about how his life is going, or do you just like see him at the gym in passing and like say hi? Because I feel like there are plenty of people in my life that I wouldn't invite to my birthday, and I do like keep up with them.
I would also say
don't
it
know.
depends on what the manner of the invite is. Are you sending a group text to all of your gym friends and saying like, hey guys, having a birthday party, come through? Would it be weird to leave him off of that text and make it feel like very exclusive? Or are you texting each person individually, and would it be weird for you to text him or have like one of your other friends that's friends with him be like, oh, hey, you know, casual thing. Also, I guess it depends what you're doing for your birthday. Is if it's a very casual, like you're going to be at a bar and you're inviting people to like come by, I think it's fine to send an invite like, hey, it's super casual. But if it's like at your house and it's more of like a dinner party, maybe not. I don't know. I feel like it depends on what you're doing, how you're doing the invite, and how close you still are.
Yeah. There's a lot of context needed here, Daniela. Sidebar, text us about this. But I think that I think it depends where it's like, I think it could be in passing where if you see him at the gym, you could be like, hey, my birthday's this weekend, like we're grabbing drinks at this bar, like feel free to stop by. You know what I mean? Definitely make it more casual, even if you guys ended on a good note, like still could be a little weird.
I think based on the information we've been provided through this voicemail and based on how I would approach a situation, I would most likely extend the offer, extend the invite. I'm always trying to keep the peace. I'm always inviting people to things. And I think that in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't hurt to send him an invite. As long as you're not going to be upset if he doesn't
Who cares?
come. Like if he doesn't come, are you going to be upset?
Yeah.
I think it's also that. Like if you were truly ended amicably, you don't mind, it's not awkward when you see each other, like it's fine, then I say invite him and also just be okay if he doesn't show up too.
Yeah.
So that's my advice.
No harm, no foul. I agree. I love the hotline.
I love the hotline. If you guys have a scenario you need advice on, if you need to just vent and tell us a story and hear what we have to say about it, if you have a question, if you need advice, if you need a manifest minute even, call into the hotline.
Call us if you want to reach us.
If you want to reach us, and we will do our best to impart any wisdom that we have.
And that's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote. We are so happy to be back doing this podcast. We'll be back soon with another episode. But in the meantime, we'll see you on the internet. Bye.
Thanks for listening to See You on the Internet.
To keep up with the fun between episodes, make sure to follow us at See You on the Internet Pod on both Instagram and TikTok.
And to join in on the fun on the podcast itself, call the Kate and Nicole hotline at 646-780-9063 or email us at hi@seeyouontheinternetpod.com.
We'll be back with a new episode soon, but in the meantime, we'll see you on the internet.